there are also some things that Germans are unnecessarily proud of. Hey guys, what's up? It's Kelly again, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I feel like I should maybe issue a trigger warning because some Germans watching this are about to get triggered because I'm going to share with you all a perspective that might not go down like a smooth Weiss beer. But first, some background. There are a lot of Germans who feel like they can't be proud to be German because of their country's history. And given the severity of these past atrocities and how relatively recent it all happened, a lot of Germans carry what I would call a burden of guilt and have the utmost devotion in making sure that something like this never happens again. And this is manifested in several different ways. For example, the German Constitution or several different German laws, a heavy focus on educating students about this period of history, and turning things like concentration camps into sort of open air museums so that visitors can really feel the gravity of what happened. And then the trait that I'm going to focus on, which is a complete repression of any sort of outward pride for Germany or being German, and really condemnation for any sort of behavior that can be connected to nationalism. Misha, my German boyfriend, has heard the American national anthem in his few months visiting the US more often than he has heard the German one in his entire life. And he feels really uneasy about this display of nationalism. But a lot of Americans don't really see an issue with hanging the American flag out in their front yard, wearing the American flag on their clothes, pledging allegiance to the flag, or exhibiting a myriad of other similar behaviors, because a lot of Americans feel very proud to be American, even those who are American just by sheer luck of being born here and haven't actually contributed to the progress or success of the country beyond paying taxes. This whole concept is foreign in Germany, and to see Americans behaving this way boggles the minds of many Germans in the least, and concerns and infuriates them at most, because this is the sort of dangerous behavior that can easily escalate and leave a nation vulnerable to totalitarianism. So in Germany, you won't really see Germans waving the German flag unless it's at the World Cup, and you definitely won't see anybody wearing an MGGA hat, or I guess it would be an MGDA hat, but really it would be a DWGM hat, but that doesn't really flow. I think we can all agree that that just doesn't flow. You won't see these things because of Germany's past and the repercussions of those events. Now, I know that was a lot of background and a lot of lead up, so I hope you're still watching for me to finally make my argument, which is that I think that Germans are extremely proud to be German. In fact, I would go so far to say that I think that some Germans are more proud to be German than some Americans are proud to be American. They just show it differently than Americans, as in quietly, or via not so humble brags in the comment sections of my videos. In past videos, I've talked about the German Autobahn and the Sylvester fireworks celebrations and the quality of German water, all of which I've learned are extreme points of pride for many Germans. So for this video, I'm going to change up my talking points a little. Let's first discuss how proud Germans are of German manufacturing and the Made in Germany mark. In the 19th century, Great Britain began to require that any goods manufactured in Germany bear the Made in Germany label. This was to classify these products as being substandard compared to the goods manufactured within Great Britain. You might compare the reputation of goods bearing the label Made in Germany back then to the sort of reputation that goods bearing the label Made in China have now. But the irony soon became evident as the British recognized that goods being exported from Germany were quite the opposite. And so instead of being a negative mark, the Made in Germany label became a badge of high quality and reliability. Germany's top exports include vehicles and machinery. And while there's definitely a high presence of German-made machinery in the US, I think that the German car industry and brands are well recognized by Americans. Volkswagen, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, and Porsche all have the reputation of being great quality cars. The German automotive industry is one of the largest employers in the world and is a large part of why Germany has the strongest economy in the EU and the fourth largest economy by nominal GDP in the world. But let's shift gears and talk about German culture. Now, I realized by reading all of the comments on my videos that I might have a more broad definition of culture than others. To me, the culture of a country is defined by a mix of everything that makes up that country, from food to clothing, to religion, to behavior and norms and customs, to political institutions, to industries, and so on. But for this video, I'll focus on the more classic definition of culture, which is the product of human intelligence. So the work of artists and philosophers and scientists. And Germans are very, very proud of their culture. And with the work of Germans like Goethe and Schiller and Beethoven, it's really easy to understand why. These Germans contributed so much to their fields, and people are still enjoying their work today. Germans are also quite proud of their welfare state. Now, I'm kind of cringing at using the word welfare because I know that this term has been politicized in the US to the point where some people think it's a very negative word, and so sometimes it's really hard for those people to understand what it really means, and they tend to just stop listening. Please keep listening. The concept of a modern welfare state in Germany traces all the way back to the 1800s. Health insurance, old age pensions, unemployment insurance were all a strong part of Germany's foundation in its unification in 1871, and the German government continues to espouse these measures. Most Germans feel that the government is responsible for protecting the health and well-being of its citizens, not just on the streets, but also in the workplace and in the grocery store. And this role is realized through a number of programs and services, like providing quality education all the way through the graduate level. I think the best way that has ever been described to me is that Germany really invests in its people, and the return on their investment has been integral in Germany's economic success. But it's evidenced not just by their GDP, but also their low crime rates, their high quality of life, their great employment rates, and so on. Germans are also quite proud of their environmentalism, and like their welfare state, Germany has a long history of environmental activism and policies. The formation of the Green Party in 1980 was a major milestone in environmentalist efforts because it was the first time that environmentalists were represented in the federal government. The majority of Germans believe that we need to shift towards using renewable energy sources as quickly as possible. And on January 1st, 2018, when the wind was just right, Germany celebrated its first day reaching 100% total power use via renewable energy sources. Now, this was a little bit of an anomaly early on Germany's shift towards using renewables, but it shows that it absolutely can be done. And for the rest of 2018, renewables accounted for about 38% of Germany's electricity use, and I think they hit 2 additional days of 100%. These are all things that I believe Germans should absolutely be proud about, and things that the rest of the world can learn from Germany. But there are also some things that Germans are unnecessarily proud of. Like, on the scale of things that matter, these are way on the bottom. For example, a lot of Germans are very proud of their old buildings. I don't mean to make it sound so arbitrary, because it's not. Those buildings represent history, and architecture is a valuable form of art. But if I had $1 for every time a German has commented on my channel to tell me that the church in their village or their town is older than my country, I would have enough dollars to go and buy 10 iPhones. And I just don't care. Reminding me that my country is only a couple of 100 years old while this German church is 1,000 years old does not resonate with me at all, especially because the person telling me this had nothing to do with the existence of this church. So I'm having a really hard time connecting the dots on it. Another example is when Germans tell me that Walmart couldn't make it in Germany. I don't know if this is just a veiled way of saying your icon of capitalism was rejected by my country, but to brag about Walmart failing in Germany is kind of a weird flex. There are also many Germans out there who seem to be very proud of this story that German was almost the official language of the United States. Now, the truth behind this claim is shaky at best, but if we go with one of the main stories out there, when Congress was looking at making the official language of the US anything other than British English as a slight against Great Britain, one of the many languages considered was German. Now, mostly everyone involved in this decision did not speak German. So the idea of all of the government's politicians having to learn German, especially to the heightened level in which they would need to learn German to govern a country in German, and then all of the citizens learning German as well, seems a little far-fetched. But supposedly the idea of making German the official language reached the floor, and the tie-breaking vote was cast by Speaker of the House Friedrich Muhlenberg, who was of German descent but did not speak any German. And this is another thing that I just don't know why someone would be proud of this. Is it interesting? Yes. Is it worth boasting about? No. Nobody cares. Now, I know I said I wouldn't talk about the Autobahn, but there is one thing that I absolutely have to bring up. Driving in Germany is very strict, and I think that Germans have great driving skills. So mostly everyone in Germany strictly adheres to the law that you have to stay in the right lane on the Autobahn or the highway unless you are ready to pass a car. And if you've ever been to the US, you'll notice that people often tend to sit in the left lane or they'll pass on the right. And so many Germans, so many Germans who have visited the United States and have seen this are quick to proudly tell me about their law requiring cars to stay to the right. The thing is, we have this law too. In all 50 states, you are absolutely required to stay in the right lane unless you are actively passing a car. We just have really crappy drivers who don't adhere to the law. But I just don't understand bragging about the existence of this law that's not even a unique law or really special in any way. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I've also gotten many comments from Germans bragging about the quality of fuel compared to the US, and I don't care. Time to talk about the German beer purity law. A lot of Germans are very proud of the quality of German beer, and oftentimes the Reinheitsgebot will be brought up by a German to sort of prove how high quality German beer is. And while I understand the intent behind this law, all I really see it as is instilling a tradition of restricting creativity when it comes to brewing different types of beer, and the primary reason why all German beer sort of just tastes the same. And I don't know why anyone would be proud of this. And the last thing I'll say, guys, is that there are a lot of Germans out there who are very proud of being able to speak English without a single trace of a German accent. Or conversely, they're very ashamed of the fact that they speak English with an accent. And I don't get this at all. I personally love accents, and I think that a lot of Americans love accents because it makes the person sound different or unique or foreign or interesting. So guys, I get that a lot of Germans feel like they can't or shouldn't or they don't want to exhibit pride in being German the same way that Americans express pride in being American, but that doesn't mean that Germans aren't proud to be German. And I just want to add one last thought, or I guess maybe it's more of a question, because I'm trying to understand some of the behavior that I see exhibited in the comment section of my videos. Why do I get so many comments from Germans who are aggressively putting down the US or Americans or me for being American? I know that there are a lot of people who are just plainly annoyed and even angry with Americans thinking the US is the greatest country on earth. But the only thing I can come up with is that this is perhaps a reflection of some deep insecurities some Germans may feel about their history, and maybe some envy for Germany not getting more recognition on the world stage than it already does, or perhaps some resentment for not being able to be proud of being German. But I'd love to hear what you guys think, because I really am trying to understand it. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you today. I'm very curious to see what kind of comments I'm gonna get on this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified every single time I post a new video. Thank you so much to my patrons. You guys are awesome for the support you've given me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Hey guys, make sure you find me on Instagram at Kelly Does Her Thing. I'm always posting stories on there that show bits of US culture, German influence in the US, or glimpses of my life in DC. I'll even post different things to supplement the content of my videos, so go find me on Instagram.